Hello everyone, welcome to the Hounslow Classic 2025 course preview video. We did a similar one for Buffalo Stampede and everyone seemed to watch it and got good reviews. So we're back again. I'm here again, and this time we've got Maddi O'Donnell, a local, lives near the course and is also running this year. I'm the race director for Hounslow. And yeah, well, we're just going to talk through the 17K and then roll straight into the rest of the marathon. We'll try and do it in reasonable depth so that people can really visualize their race day experience. Maddi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Maddi. Like Joe said, live in Blackheath and we'll be racing the marathon this year.
And you live like 2K from the course, don't you?
Yeah, 2K from the start line. So I might just add some extra Ks to an already brutal marathon as a warm-up.
Big advantage. That's right. So you should theoretically know the course very well.
Yeah, not inside and out.
And also you're on a SingleTrack trail team. So Maddi is like one of the main protagonists in that team, always gathering the troops for different things. So thanks for all your work there as well.
No, it's been a fun year on the team so far. I'd highly recommend anyone applying next year if it continues on.
It will, for sure. We will open applications again at the start of each year. So if you've seen the SingleTrack trail team around and you think, oh, that looks pretty fun, then make sure you get your pitch ready for next year. We'll just jump straight into the courses, and then we'll, at the end, talk a little bit about a project that Maddi's got, which is pretty exciting, to be honest, and that'll be on the Thursday before the race. So I'll just start presenting the screen. From the website, you'll see on the Hounslow Marathon page or the 17K page, you'll see, if you scroll down, you've got the embed of the course from Strava. And yeah, it's a good way to sort of visualize the course and see the distances and where the climbs are and all the different details. So I'll just start playing the flyover, and me and Maddi will sort of talk through it together. But yeah, it's certainly a good way to get your head around the terrain. 1 sec. Oh, this happened to me last time. I have to reload the page. That happened to me last time I did the Buffalo one. It's weird how that does. All right, reload.
It looks so friendly, like just seeing the overview of it.
No, it does, doesn't it? So we'll start here with Allview itself. Does it get much better than Allview, Maddi?
Allview is like, I would stand there and just look at the views and take in. Last year we had an epic sunrise and a bit of a cloud inversion. It was a pretty good way to bring some calmness into what's to come.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely my favorite event village I've ever been to. And one of the main reasons we as SingleTrack wanted to take the event on is like, yeah, it's a great wedding venue. They get behind the event, and yeah, you can see the whole course basically from just standing looking at the view.
The view points are pretty epic there. Doesn't get much better. Yeah,
so you run out of well, actually you do a little loop of Allview, and we stretch you out for the first couple K of the course. We'll just play that little loop. You run back through the start line and then down to Twin Falls track to meet the trail.
And that's a pretty fast start. I feel like everyone tries to get in a good position heading towards the cliff tops because you are entering like single track and stairs. So people are flying down that first section.
Yeah, we get about 1.5 K, exactly 1.5 K before you hit the single track. But you know, the fields are big enough still, even with that spread out, that there will be a little bit of bottleneck for the mid of the second wave. But that's why we have those wave starts. I might just quickly talk through that. You've all selected one of the 4 waves to start on, and we'll basically just go with your first selection. But we'll go out with a bit more information in the coming days, or depending on whenever you watch this. You'll have your 5-minute start waves, and that'll just help spread you all out a little bit. And then, yeah, you hit the single track. It's pretty wide to start, and then you kind of just get into the stairs.
fast and technical.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like this course is technical, but it's like the 17K course in particular, you'd call it a technical course, but it's a different kind of technicality than I'm used to. You live on the course. Describe a bit of what you get underfoot.
It's a lot of stairs. So I feel like if you can find rhythm heading down the stairs and just like, yeah, focusing on like the rhythm within your feet, because you're kind of rock hopping quite a lot too across waterfalls. They're short, sharp steps. And that is like a lot of the cliff tops.
Yeah, it's almost like down around Bride or the Grampians is more like a uneven rockiness that it's like your foot struggles to find traction. But around here, the technicality is almost like choppiness of your stride. It's like hard to find the correct stride or time you're running almost accordingly to the larger kind of rocks or steps that are
a lot of short, fast steps on like the narrow ledges.
Yeah. And also a lot of up and down. And this cliff top track, in a lot of people's mind on the map, you'll see here, looks pretty flat. It looks like a flat section of the course, but it's just, yeah, it's a lot of up and down, and it's extremely, extremely challenging.
Yeah, especially when at the start of the cliff tops, you're descending down quite a large set of stairs, and then you look out to your right and you've got 3 different waterfalls to look at. So I always like remind myself as that before you start the climb onto the cliff tops.
Yeah, that first descent off Twin Falls track's probably the most scenic part of maybe the whole race. It's pretty good, isn't it? So make sure you look around. Yeah, for sure. It'll be early morning for both events. You both start at 6:20. You won't need a head torch, but yeah, you'll have hopefully beautiful light at this time in the morning. Looking back over the valley to the north, I guess. But yeah, the cliff top itself, yeah, as we said, a lot of stairs, a lot of little punchy climbs and steep downhills. And then eventually you get to Evans Lookout, which
one of my favorite lookouts in the Blueies.
Yeah, awesome lookout. You run literally straight through the lookout, so make sure you stop, take a photo, unless you're trying to win.
And coming to the cliff tops, you've got a nice like 500-meter kind of flowy descent before you drop into the Grand Canyon. So it's nice to come off the stairs, find a bit of rhythm on the path again.
Yeah, you mean that path so from the car park down to the actual lookout. Yeah, that's probably the smoothest bit of running you'll get. Yeah, that new kind of paved. So this section here is a bit more paved, almost like a paved gravelly path. Which you can go pretty quick down, especially early in the morning when there's no tourists. This is a very touristy area, and that's why we do start you so early. And that this time of morning is a great time to run down. You really start there. You start the Grand Canyon loop, which is basically one of the most famous hiking loops in Australia, and the real draw card, I guess, for the 17K, but also the marathon.
Yeah, I think it got voted last year as one of the most popular hikes in Australia. As soon as you start descending into that staircase, it feels like you're heading into Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and like any given weekend, there'll be a lot of people out hiking this loop. A lot of people, because it's a kind of an all year round sort of attraction. It's good in the winter. It's good in the summer, because it's nice and cool down there in the canyon. So this time of year, it's a funny one. Like we've had 2 hot years at Hounslow, but it's early September, so it could actually be really, really cold. Yeah, if judging off the last 2 years, I'd be saying, make sure you're doing your heat training and getting ready for hot conditions, but at the same time, it could be also a really cold day, and in the canyon especially, it might be a bit chilly.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every time I've gone into the Grand Canyon, it's like definitely a cool attempt than what you'll find on the cliff tops. It seems to drop a little bit, and then you've also got 2 massive waterfalls in there that you can kind of run under, refresh.
Yeah, I don't know about 7 o'clock in the morning, but maybe. Describe this little downhill into the canyon. Yeah, I haven't done it in a year or so. What's the condition like of it at the moment?
Yeah, so as soon as you come off that smooth path, you start descending down a whole bunch of stairs, which I absolutely love. The first little bit is definitely short short and steep steps, and then it kind of opens up for a couple hundred meters, still against stairs, and then you go into another steep little part before you actually hit like you're at the bottom of the floor, basically. It's definitely a brutal leg burner.
Yes.
And
I guess when you hit that point, that is the lowest point of the 17K, isn't it?
Yeah, and then that's when you're on the floor and start to kind of work your way through the Grand Canyon, which is a lot of like ducking and weaving. Yeah,
it's not a straightforward trail to run. It's probably almost a better hiking trail down there on the base of the valley itself. But yeah, a bit of weaving, and there is that probably halfway along. There's that. We should probably mention there's that tunnel that you go through, and a lot of people sort of get.
Yeah, you go up a set of stairs, and then it just looks like this pitch black tunnel, and you feel as though you're going to be in this pitch tunnel for like a while, but it doesn't even last more than 10 seconds. It's kind of just that matter of grabbing onto the side of the walls, taking one big step, and then you're out.
Yeah, I've heard of people getting their phones out when they know it's coming up, so they can run through it a bit more confidently. Or even if your watches sometimes have like that light function, which also works really well.
Yeah, would highly recommend.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just walk through it real slow and make sure you don't trip over. But it is a pitch black tunnel, completely black, and you can just see the end. But generally, the Grand Canyon floor, you could be running through some water depending on the rainfall.
Yeah, I feel like even if we hadn't have a lot of rainfall, just with the waterfalls, it's constantly wet through the Grand Canyon.
You'll get wet shoes. Which
quite
is probably
as well, so it can be a little bit slippery in some sections.
Yeah, so for the 17K, probably not a big deal. You won't be running with shoes for 12 hours or whatever the marathon runners will do it in. But if you're running the marathon and it is a cooler day, then maybe there is a shoe change option at the first aid station. So yeah, you make your way up the valley floor, as Maddi was saying, some step climbs, some like more runnable sections, and a lot of running through the water. And then you get to the major climb of the 17K, which is called Neats Glen. So you want to talk through that climb, Maddi?
Yeah, so pretty much you've descended, you found your flow through the floor, and then it just goes straight up, and the straight up is just stairs. And I have figured out that the Grand Canyon has just over 1,000 stairs. So it is a brutal climb, and it is, the first set is quite wet and like small and sharp, a few little switchbacks, and then it opens up to a bigger staircase, which you do have the opportunity to find a little bit more rhythm and potentially start running those stairs, but hiking is always a great option. But then like knowing at the top of that climb, you hit a really nice like 1K flowy fire trail.
Yeah, so you're about 9K in when you kind of hit the climb for the 17K and the marathon. So, just over halfway. And then, you kind of got the hardest part, I guess, for the 17K runners coming out of there. There is actually a video on our Instagram from last year, if you find it, of Benson Lawrence running up there. I mean, sure, you're not going to go that fast, but you'll get an idea of what
the stairs
there is, to come. And I'd say, 95% of people are just trying to hike as fast as they can.
Yeah, strong hike out of there.
Yeah, not many people would be running Neats Glen. And you get to the top and you get this super quick, nice, beautiful footpath, I guess, a gravelly footpath all the way back to Evans Lookout.
Yeah, it is an open fire trail, and it is always beautiful in September because you have all like the flowers and whatnot starting to bloom. So it's quite nice after a brutal climb. Yeah,
so I think it's a slight gradual downhill as well. So you almost feel a bit too good, and it potentially might catch you out because you've still got a fair bit of cliff top to go for the 17K runners. Right there is the Grand Canyon aid station. So that's the only aid station on the 17K loop. So a pretty important one for people who will be out there for 4 hours or so. We'll have it pretty well stocked. We always have too much stuff. So make sure you refresh, get ready to go. And you've still got a pretty hard, like, 6K or so to go after that, back to the finish line. And for the marathon runners, there's a long way to go. So if you are feeling at all taxed, that's a good spot to just reset a little bit.
Yeah, definitely on the way back of the cliff tops, you encounter a lot of like short, sharp climbs. So refueling there, it's definitely smart.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll just go back through the cliff top quickly. Very similar to the way out, obviously. You're just going out along the other way. There won't be much traffic coming the other direction. There might be a bit of overlap between the front of the first 17K runners and the very last sort of 17K runners still on the cliff top. So it's a good reason to cheer people and give each other high fives. And
it was a good motivator last year, like plenty of room to run, but there was few just purely out there for the good vibes, and they'd just kind of stand on the side of the cliff tops clapping you on.
Yeah, we do get people who try and hike the whole 17K just really, really fast. You've got to be a really good hiker. And that's an option if you think that you could, if you're not a runner, but you back yourself as a very good hiker, then you can try and get the 17K done, just walking the whole thing. And because it is so much up and down, sometimes it's actually not even much slower than trying to run. And that's a lot of this Hounslow terrain is like hiking becomes your best friend, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll probably be doing a lot of hiking out there, Mads, even though you'll hopefully be near the front of the field. Yeah,
fast hiking. I feel like if you can fast hike, you'll probably realize you're hiking as quick as I'm running.
Exactly. You do go through, we should just mention Go at Sleep, which is one of the most famous lookouts in the Blueies, maybe the second most famous one after Echo Point. Absolutely beautiful spot as well. And you do get some nice views of like the waterfalls. And for the marathon runners, you get to see pretty much directly straight ahead of you. You'll see Lockley's Pylon, which is where you've got to go to.
If you're a 17K runner, you can just admire the view. And if you're a marathon runner, you're heading out there.
Yeah, exactly. I will just quickly find here. When you get back to Go at Sleep, you've done 14.5K. So yeah, the 17K runners, you're only got about 2.5K to go. So time to, start thinking about your celebration salute.
And to mention, at the end of the cliff top, you do have a pretty gnarly staircase climb out before you start heading back towards Pulpit Rock and the finish line.
Yeah, so that would be just when you get to the bottom of that, this climb up here is, it's pretty hard. It's a good point. Yeah, it's continuous long climb, probably the second longest climb on the course, actually, right at the very end. But as we said earlier, that part of the trail is super scenic, and you do get amazing views back towards Go at Sleep. So the 17K runners you finish along. Maddie, you were just saying something about this trail earlier before we started recording.
Yeah, they've actually just basically redone this whole trail. So last year, throughout the year, this year training, there's been like a lot of routes and whatnot, but it's all been cut and clean. So it's quite a nice fire trail to finish on, like with some short pinches, but it's like stunning now that it's all been cleaned up.
Yeah, it was a bit tight last year and the year before. One of the main reasons why we changed the start to down Twin Falls Road. The fields this year are big enough that start will still be better, but it's good to know that it'll be a bit easier to run this trail this year around. Should mention Pulpit Rock Track is still closed, so if you're ever training out on course, you're not allowed to do that still. We would love to include that in the race one day when it reopens. But for now, the course heads back through Allview. So the 17K runners finish basically coming up this final little...
It is a slight pinch, but it's a pretty brutal way to finish up the green grass to the finish line.
Yeah, and it's really nice if you're a crew in the race. You can kind of go down, see them on like the switchback basically, and then still run up and almost catch them at the finish line. It's a good little finish to the race. It's not easy, but we don't do it for it to be easy. And then you get the amazing finish line arch, and you can soak it all in and get ready to eat some meat pies or whatever you do after a run.
I'm straight for the oranges.
Straight for the oranges. Yeah. So marathon really, I guess,
starts
That's
now.
that's kind of like the warm up, because even though it's extremely hard way to start the race, I'd say everyone's sort of fearing that second half. Like the first 17K is very undulating and up and down, and it's actually kind of totally opposite for the second half of the race, which is less undulation and more just like long downhills and long climbs, really. Yeah. So you do get a pretty easy 4K though, don't you?
Yeah, it's a 4K fast descent. I would definitely enjoy it before you head to Perry's.
Yeah, so this is like a long kind of flattish road. It's how far is it tarred the whole way to the end now?
What's that? Sorry?
Is this sealed all the way to the end? This
Yeah.
road? Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year runners, you would know like that wasn't sealed last year. I haven't been there since they've sealed it, but yeah, this road's now been sealed all the way down to Perry's. And it's a pretty quick 4K between Allview and Perry's, where you can run most of the way, probably all of the way for most people, I would say, doing the marathon.
Yeah, there's only like 2 little pinches, but no, it's pretty a good spot to open up the legs, find rhythm, and try get some fuel in.
Yeah, you'll see there, like, so that's Grand Canyon down on the bottom of the elevation. You got a bit of up and down. By the time you get to Allview, you got this gradual downhill to Perry's, which is nice on the way out, but actually on the way back, it's a bit of a different story, which we'll get to later. You've ran this downhill a lot in training lately, so you want to talk us through the Perry's downhill?
Yeah, Perry's, as soon as you start going down Perry's, I definitely find for the first 400 meters, you do find a really nice rhythm. And then as you really start to head into the valley, it becomes quite technical with the stairs. So it's a bit more slow going for the first like 1.5 kilometers. And then the stairs open up towards the bottom of the valley floor. But yeah, that first bit is quite technical, and you will find in one section there is hand railings, which is a good little tool to use to get yourself down some of the stairs.
Yeah, I don't know what the lookout's called, Maddie, but you might know. Like you go past, there's Perry's lookout itself, which is just here. After that, as you were saying, very easy, nice trail for a few 100 meters. And then there's another lookout, which...
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not 100% sure of the name.
You go past this other lookout, it's probably just called Perry's Lookdown. No,
yeah.
Whatever. It's a concrete lookout, and then that's where it gets pretty gnarly, basically, from downwards. And it is a bit gnarly for the... Yeah, I know it's probably, I don't know exactly, maybe a K.
Yeah, it is just under a K.
Of like steep terrain, steep steps, handrails, and then it doesn't flatten out, because that'd be the wrong word. But from there on, it turns into cleaner steps where you
the stairs are like wider, and it's more of like you can find rhythm like within your steps running down them.
And you notice that more, probably even on the climb more, where on the way up you can get some sort of rhythm going for the first half of the climb,
and
then all of a sudden it's just like, wow, okay, this is gone to a new level. Yeah. And on the elevation profile, you can kind of see that point as well, like very steep in that section there, and then you can see like the second half of that descent is a little bit more graded. So yeah, you can open up the descent a bit more, and it's a good place probably to actually try and gain it a little bit of time. If you're, behind time or struggling a bit, you can find some rhythm on that Perry's Lookdown descent if you're feeling good. Just before we go any further, very important to fill up a lot of water at Perry's. It's a long way to go to Pinnacles, especially if you're going to take 3. Some people take 3 hours on this section between Perry's and Pinnacles last year.
And I remember some people just heading into the valley floor last year around midday and stopped just before heading into Perry's to grab like a few liters of water and kind of even tip water on the heads, because it was a hot day.
Yeah, so you want to really make sure you got enough nutrition and food for 3 hours, essentially, for most of the field to get to Pinnacles, because even if you think you're going to be quicker than that, you can really fall to pieces through here. And the Pinnacles last 2 years has been a bit of a I don't know what the right road for it is. It's it's a very critical aid station. People are coming in a bit broken, and then they're spending a lot of time there, and then they're eventually heading back. But you can try and minimize that risk by just taking a little bit of extra water, a little bit of extra food. You do get to do the river crossing though, which is a really nice relief, really, on a hot day, isn't it?
Yeah, the river crossing is great. I love it.
And I think most of the front of the field people who are pushing hard usually just lie down fully in the river. If you're not super hot, that's probably a bad idea. So you don't want to get too cold. But if it's a hot day, I would recommend lying down in the river. Pack on everything on. Who cares? Make sure everything's waterproof. Unless
Heading
you have,
Lockleys, you'll dry pretty fast.
You'll dry quickly on a hot day. If it's a cold day, obviously, you want to be sensible, keep things dry. But certainly on a hot day, that's been a major relief for a lot of people before hitting the Lockleys climb, which it's a nice view of it there, and you can sort of talk through it there, Mads.
Yeah, the Lockleys climb, there's not much to say, but it starts ascending as soon as you hit it. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's rocky underfoot. I'm more of like a strong hiker up this than a run. I wouldn't say it's exactly runnable. There are like sections throughout the climb that it flattens a little bit, but the climb is just up, up and up.
I'd agree with that. It starts almost really steep, but then it does flatten out a little bit in some sections where you can jog along. But yeah, that first little pinch is very steep, and then it kind of opens up as well, the bush, and you get some nice views and very scenic climb. And if it's not hot, it's really actually a beautiful climb. Yeah.
It is when it starts to open up. If like you are hurting, just to like look around, because the views there are insane. You get like 4 different viewpoints of the valley.
You get to like a couple little lookouts along the way up. Definitely, yeah, good to stop and chill out if you're feeling like you're overheating a bit. Just drink some more water, settle the gut or whatever. It's a bit of a journey up Lockleys, I think. Even no matter how you get up there, I think it's a bit of a journey. And yeah, everyone's got their own way of doing it, but it's basically hard no matter how you do it. Would you say Lockleys? A bit of a famous question is, what would you say is harder, the Lockleys climb or the Perry's climb?
Oh, I'm going to say Perry's.
Yeah, I think the Perry's climb is positioned at a worse spot. But
yeah, I think during this race, doing Lockleys and then descending down it and then heading back to Perry's has got the win on that one for sure.
But this last section, the map doesn't really show up very well, but
it is quite technical underfoot, like extremely rocky, and then quite a large chunk of stairs, but the stairs are quite like, how would you explain it, like wide in height, that you kind of are like trying to grab your step. And
there's a little bit of like hands and knees stuff. Anyone who's not comfortable at all in the mountain sort of environment gets a little bit uneasy there, but we're not talking mountaineering. It's probably not even scrambling is the right word, but yeah, hands and knees. Like there are some larger kind of steps that you got to get up, which have plenty of footholds and stuff, and it's not the end of the world, but certainly you got to take your time there, and no one's going quickly in that last sort of 500 meters up to the saddle. And as well, we do get two-way traffic, so the lead runners will pass through sort of like a lot of that field coming up. And last year was a bit of a boost for a lot of people to get to see some people coming the other way, switch up their mindset and be like, oh, I can cheer someone. But yeah, make sure you're just aware there. I wouldn't be slamming the music super hard and not aware of your surroundings. There might be people coming in the other direction.
Yeah, a few of the lead females last year said it was actually quite nice to have, like, I think it was the Mikeys at that point come down and they would just get into the top of Lockleys, and they said it was like quite a seamless pass by, but definitely like motivating too. Yeah,
so try and use that to your advantage, cheer them on, and then try and get a bit of energy from the other runners out there. You do get to the summit, and then there's like a bit of a traverse along to the actual summit, I guess. which is a bit higher. And that section through there is really, really slow. Probably the slowest like moving section of the course, considering it's not really a climb. It's more just like a traverse, I guess. A lot of trees. There's a couple little sections where you got to pull yourself up. It's a bit of an adventure until you get to the actual summit of Lockleys Pylon, which on the way out, you'll go do the out and back. And importantly, on the way back, you don't have to do the out and back. So you just have to go to the top once.
And I did hear you have to go around the pylon. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the first year we made everyone go around the pylon. Last year, I just made you touch the pylon. And this year we're actually going to have a course marshal up there. So yeah, we didn't have a course, like it's a long day. It's basically like by the time you wake up, get to Allview, get back to Allview, it's like a 13-hour day or something crazy. So we'll have somebody up there this year, which is very cool, and they'll be checking bib numbers. So yeah, you just got to touch the pylon, have a look around.
That's one of like the best. I would say it's like hands down one of my favorite like viewpoints of the whole Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got, I think I counted the other day, there was like 6 waterfalls.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's 360 views, no trees around. I don't know why there's no trees there specifically. Maybe you know that, Maddi, but it's not like it's above the tree line. But for some reason,
yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those open.
Barren. Yeah, like you look at the surrounding areas here, there's trees. But for some reason around Lockleys, and I don't know if there's anywhere else in the Blue Mountains like this, there's just no trees up there, and I've always sort of wondered why, and I should probably find that out. But it's cool because it gives it like that European mountain feel where it's like you feel like you're in the high mountains there.
Especially like when you're descending through Perry's, it's just like trees galore, and then you look at the bottom of the gross floor, and it's the trees are massive down there, so it's like quite cool to climb up and it be like so exposed.
Yeah, very exposed, very hot landscape on a hot day. So yeah, you probably want to keep moving, and then you've got a flat 3K or flat-ish 3K to Pinnacles. Do you want to just describe this little out and back quickly?
Yeah, the out and back just on an everyday is like one of the like a just very stunning out and back. But I think how the legs will be feeling like bricks at this point. So the like little pinches will get you, but it's super, super flowy, and I quite enjoy doing it after having a little bit of like stop starting through Perry's and Lockleys. It's a nice way to just like open the legs back, get some flow before hitting the descent again. Yeah,
the trail itself, you're right. It's a bit smoother than the previous sections of the course. So
yeah,
it's good on fresh legs. Although I remember racing this in 2016 or whatever, and I found this section really challenging just because you're just tired at this stage of the race. Yeah. And they're invariably, even though it's a little bit flatter, there's still a lot of hiking for the majority of people out there because there are enough little pinches that can catch you out.
Sections of steps as well.
And there's some super scenic bits, especially when you get closer to the car park. It kind of opens up again, and you get some nice views of the Pinnacles, and and you'll be seeing a lot of people at this stage as well. So the majority of the field will be passing through here, high-fiving each other. The trail is pretty wide generally, so you get good energy from everyone on the out and back. But eventually you do get to the car park, which I will say now, the car park is, it's not a lot of parking there. There's only like 10 spots, so that's why we don't allow crew, because we basically take up like 5 or 6 with our medical aid station, our own crew, cars, and, all that stuff. So we will be actually driving all the volunteers out there this year in like a 10-seater. So just trying to minimize that. And also there's a lot of hikers who still come out. The trail's open to public. So yeah, definitely no one is allowed out there other than, anyone involved within the race. And we're going to be doing car shuttles to get people there so that there won't actually be too many cars hanging around. So yeah, please don't tell your crew to go there. We do a drop bag, so have a drop bag. It is an important spot to stop and refuel, and it's generally we end up with a lot of people there at one time, especially in the middle of the field. Like there'll be like 30 or 40 people there in the middle of the field just hanging out eating noodles. So make sure you reset before making the long trip back. And it is a bad spot to pull out because you'll have to wait for us to like have a reason to drive back to Allview. So you might be waiting around for an hour before you get a lift back, and it's a long drive. It's a bad drive. Maddie's
you have to go like out and around. I reckon it would be like 45 minutes, easy.
Yeah, easily 45-minute drive back plus a lot of waiting time. So yeah, you don't really want to DNF at Pinnacles. So it's a good spot to really just take care of yourself and try and make the journey back. And the good thing is once you turn around, you're basically going to finish. Like,
yeah, a lot of descending and a gnarly climb, really.
I mean, you'd be, the only place you can pull out after that is obviously Perry's, and people have pulled out at Perry's with only 4K to go. But yeah, once you've made that turn that actually turned around, you're very likely going to make it to the finish line, like unless you have a really bad problem. And so, yeah, once you're on the return journey, it's also a good mental space to be in because it's like one way to go, you know. Yeah, we won't talk through the return too much because it is what you've already done. This trail will seem a lot similar on the way back as it did on the way out. You can obviously high-five the course marshal there and keep going. And then you've got the descent down Lockleys, which the first half of it is very, very technical.
Yeah, it's very slow going. I feel like a lot of rock grabbing, a lot of like watching where you're placing your feet. It's quite like gravelly and like moving rocks as well. Yeah,
you're almost like grabbing trees as you run to just slow you down. And there's a lot of loose rocks, so a lot of like rocks this size that are just heaps of them in layers, and it's very loose. So yeah, people take their time down there. It can be quite challenging, especially on tired legs. And then it does flatten out a little bit as you go down, but it's still quite hard all the way to the river where, again, you can jump in the river if you're still hot, depending on the day and how you're feeling. But yeah, before starting, as Maddie said, it's officially the hardest climb on the course.
It's like, what is it, 2.5K with just over 600?
Yeah, I think, well, you've done it a lot lately, so you would know. Yeah. You would know.
Yeah, I've been doing my tempos on here, and it's not fun.
And it's a full hike fest.
Yeah.
Watch even the best, runners in Australia going up there on Instagram or whatever, and they are like suffering hiking slowly near the top. So get your poles out if you've got poles, or get your hands on your knees. And I think it's just survival at this stage.
Yeah.
No one's feeling good. Just know that no one is feeling good.
Yeah.
And it's just about survival and trying to get to that finish line.
Yeah.
But as you said,
slow or fast is always hard.
Yeah, it's always hard. Yeah, and it does. And the hard thing about Perry's is it gets harder the further you go.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that the first kilometers, like it's all hard, but the first kilometer you can definitely find like rhythm within the steps. Like if you've still got a little bit of energy, there are like little sections you can run that aren't like all stairs, like tiny little bits that break it up, just with like a single fire trail type thing. And then as you get up and up, it goes back into that bit we're talking about on the descent where you are grabbing onto like the hand railings and the steps become larger and steeper.
Yeah, it's a tough end to that, and eventually you get to that sort of concrete lookout, and then you've done the hard yards and you've still got about a couple hundred meters to the aid station, but they're not so bad. And then you get to the aid station and you've only got 4K to go, but a lot of people still stop there. A lot of people still refuel there, reset, because it's an easy-ish finish compared to the rest of the course, but it's not.
Once you start climbing up that first bit of Hat Hill Road, that's a pretty decent pinch coming out of Lockleys and Perry's. And then once you hit the top of that point of the road, you're like, you've made it home.
Yeah, I feel like there's two ways this finish can go, and everyone has one of two experiences. Like if you're in survival mode, it's actually not that bad because you can just walk and take your time and you just want to finish. But if if you're still close to your A goal and it's like, oh, I want to get this time or I want to beat this person, that's when this finish, I think, gets really, really hard because you can run all of it if you were really motivated. But it's hard, and it takes a lot of willpower to do that. But on paper, it's a pretty flat 4K to the finish. It's just on tired legs at that stage of the race. It's not easy. Yeah, but eventually you do get back to Allview. You do a little lap of the venue before coming back through the start line, and you can, as Maddie said, eat oranges.
Or look at Joe and go, "What was that called?"
Yeah, and everyone will be like, "That was terrible. I hate everything about it." And I'll be like, "Well, why does anyone do this sport?"
I just tell myself, you just got to look at the views. You just got to look at the views.
No one is appreciative of anything at the finish line. No
Give it
one.
24 hours, and then they'll be like, "Oh, coming back in 2026."
Everyone says like worst thing ever. I hate everyone. And then they'll sign up again, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's the marathon course. I think that's going to give people a really good idea. Yeah, you can click this download GPX as well, and that'll put it on your watch if you want to do any training runs. Or actually useful to have the course even on your watch for race day as well, so that if you're ever unsure, you can just look down. Yep, I'm on course. We'll obviously mark it well, but there's nothing stopping anyone in the world going out and taking markers down or changing around arrows, or it's even easy enough to just miss an arrow and run the wrong way for a bit. So yeah, I'd recommend at least watching this video, getting acquainted with the general direction, and that will give you an idea of where to go. And then just, I like the idea of having it on your watch, just so you can quickly look down, do a double check. But yeah, those are the courses for 2025. I always have to think about what you were in. Obviously an extremely hard course. So if you've done not many trail marathons or marathons in general, respect the course, know that it's going to get really, really hard, and just be sensible. Like, it is a race, so we've got medical there and there's a fallback, but you can still do pretty bad damage in races.
This is my first marathon.
Yeah, Mads is doing it as her first marathon, but you've got a lot of trail running experience, and kind of the perfect one for you being so local as well.
Yeah.
So we'll go quickly and talk about a little project that you've got, Mads, if you want, that you've been working on for, well, I don't actually know how long you've been, like a fair few months now.
Yeah, it'd be like 4 to 5 months almost now. These local filmmakers came to me and suggested I run from the Gold Coast to the Blue Mountains, because that's where I'm originally from, and they want to kind of to tell that story. And I thought, geez, if we're talking about mental health, I think I'll be destroying my mental health doing that. So they said, all right, pick something that you want to run. And I did Hounslow last year and was going through a bit at the time, but I suppose SingleTrack feels like such a family. So I was like, I want to take on the marathon this year and really highlight the journey and the build up from, I suppose, Hounslow last year to Hounslow this year, and talk about, the move from the Goldie and all the hurdles that I've experienced, but also I know they're common experiences that others would go through. And this race, the reason I chose the marathon is it's like connects all my favorite climbs in the Bluey. So as brutal as it will be pretty spectacular and a bit of like nostalgic reflecting on it. So that will be launching the Thursday night, which will be the 11th of September.
Good question. Yeah, 11th. You're right.
Yeah.
So 45-minute film at the Katoomba Cinema. We'll have more details coming out about it when we launch the tickets and all that. But Thursday night before the race, 7 p.m. We'll do the film. Maddi will be there, and the filmmakers will probably be there, I'm assuming. Yeah. And a lot of effort's gone into it. Hey, you've done a lot of work.
Yeah. No, it's been a really cool journey to film though, and especially just to, I suppose, like talk about my love for trail running, and it would be cool to have a whole bunch of other people there because they're frothing trail running and getting around the event as well. So
So look out for communication about that. More people the better there, and I'm assuming you'll be able to watch that film after if you miss it as well.
Yeah, they'll put it on YouTube straight after, and then hopefully some other platforms later on.
Awesome.
Mm.
Well, we are 3 weeks away from race day now, so go get your final long runs in. Should mention, actually, currently the course is mostly closed due to the rain.
Yeah.
Up at the Blueies, we think it should be about a 3-day closure, just off what you read on the internet and stuff, but it's obviously depends on the conditions. So parks will go out again with communications when the trails have reopened. Luckily, we're not doing the event this weekend. That would be
kayaking.
You just mentioned we do have like contingency courses approved that avoid any trails that descend into the valley. So, for example, if it was this weekend, we've already got routes approved, 17K and 42K routes approved that just use trails around the top sections. But yeah, you never know. The Blues, it's been a lot of rain lately. But yeah, as of now, absolutely no worries. It really just depends on the rain in the days before the event. But hopefully, it's just a beautiful week. And
well, it looks like it's shifted next week. We've got a 17-degree day on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, hopefully, we'll be fine then, and it'll be lovely. Should mention, 2 years ago, it got up to like 27 or something on race day, and people really, really struggled with heat, stress, and stuff. So you kind of never really know what's going to happen. But yeah, 3 weeks to go. Hope you get some good long runs in. Mads is going to have to bloody drive down to Bright or something where I live to find some steep terrain.
For a 4-hour run, the dedication.
For a run. 7-hour drive for a 4-hour run. And yeah, good luck with the final prep. We'll be in touch with the event guide and more communications in the next coming weeks and so. Thanks, Mads.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm excited. 3 weeks. It's coming around pretty fast.
All right. See you, everyone.